Good day, warriors. Titan here. Humble servant to the veteran family members, and veteran supporters everywhere. It is my great honor and pleasure to serve you in any way possible. My goal today is to provide you with helpful tips that can prove useful as you move forward from your active military service back to your civilian lives. We are building an arsenal of resources to clear off that operational space for you and your families to do just that. Titan is your loyal and dedicated advocate, fighting for you just as you have and continue to fight for us. You know that there's a lot going on during that transitional period. Loss of valuable time and money can be a heavy consequence to pay for a misinformed decision made. But we all know that together as warriors, we utilize available resources to figure out what's right and make things happen. Today, we're going to briefly go over a very sensitive subject in the military: post-traumatic stress disorder. For instructional purposes only though, guys, we're going to take this from a fully developed claims approach. And the FDC program is basically just an optional initiative that offers veterans and survivors a faster decision from the VA on compensation, pension, and survival benefits. Now, to remain transparent, you know I always start by disclosing that the content of this video is solely for informational purposes only, guys. The Department of Veterans Affairs is not a cooperative of Titan Media, and aside from the publicly published standardized VA forms and instruction that we retrieve from their website, it is not an affiliate in any known form, direct or otherwise. If you have any questions, though, please feel free to contact your local Veteran Services Organization, which is your VSO, a certified or qualified attorney, agent, or individual, or your dedicated and motivated VA representative at 1-800-827-1000. In the best interest of time, let's get right into it. Now, our objectives for today. We're going to review the 8 general steps of claims process. We discussed this on the last tutorial, and we're going to keep going over this process so that we get it into your brain housing group, so that you feel a little bit more comfortable when you go to your attorney, agent, representative, or your VSO out in the civilian sector. We're going to define post-traumatic stress disorder for VA purposes. We're going to identify the 3 types of PTSD. We're going to briefly go over the eligibility criteria and determine developmental requirements. As you know, we generally go over the form, so we're going to hit the 210781 statement in support of claim for service connected for post-traumatic stress disorder, and the 210781 alpha, which is the same form but secondary to personal assault. We're going to identify the basic informational requirements for stressor development and determine follow-up development procedures for verification of a stressor that your service representatives will use in order to corroborate your claim. And finally, some considerations for when your exams may be ordered. We're going to throw a reference out there generally. I keep throwing these references out there so that you guys get accustomed to looking at the statute and help you to develop your claim a little bit more better. So we're going to say 38 CFR Part 3 and just dig through that regulation. Now, those 8 general steps of the claims process. As we discussed previously, step 1, that's when the claim is received. You use that VONAP system, which is the Veterans Online Applications website. And as we discussed last time, when you submit it that way, VA generally confirms receipt within 1 hour generally. Or you can utilize the U.S. mail. Now, as we said previously, please allow mailing time plus at least 1 week. This gives the VA a little bit of time to process the claim and then confirm your receipt. Now, when I say process, I mean getting the claim on board, getting it established and controlled, but not completed. Just we confirm that we have received it. Step 2. This is when it's under review. The claim is assigned to a Veteran Services Representative or a VSR and is being reviewed to determine if additional evidence is needed at that time. If no additional evidence is needed, the claim could move to preparation for decision phase, which is good. Step 3. This is the gathering of evidence step. Here, the Veteran Services representative will request evidence from all required sources to confirm your claim. These sources could include requests made to the veteran, which is you, medical professionals, government agencies, or other authorities on the subject matter. Step 4. Here's where there's a review of the evidence. The VA at this point has received all needed evidence, and it could be good to go now, or more evidence could be found to be required. Step 5. Here's a preparation for decision. A decision is recommended at this point, and preparation for required documents detailing decision happens here. Step 6. Pending decision approval. Recommended decision is reviewed and a final award is approval is made at this point. Step 7. Here's where a preparation for notification happens. Veterans' entire claim decision packet is prepared for mailing at this point. And step 8. The VA has sent a decision to you by U.S. mail detailing basically the decision made and any awards that were granted. Now, for VA purposes, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is basically a mental disorder that develops as a result of a stressful event. It may develop hours, months, or years after the stressor. The types of PTSD claims. You will have your combat, personal assault, other life-threatening, or non-combat related situations. All general self-explanatory, but we'll go into it. We'll touch over them. Now, when we talk about eligibility criteria, we're talking about medical evidence and diagnoses. We want credible supporting evidence that in-service stressor actually occurred. And you want to establish a nexus, which is established by medical evidence between your current problems or symptoms and the claim stressor of your claim. You will hear that word nexus quite frequently. Now, the purpose of 38 CFR 3.304F is veterans' lay testimony alone can establish an occurrence of a stressor related to the fear of hostile military or terrorist activities. Now, as long as the symptoms are related to the claim stressor is consistent with the places, type, and circumstances of your service, and a VA psychiatrist or psychologist or a contract equivalent determines that the claim stressor is adequate to support your PTSD diagnosis. Now, when we're talking about development, they'll always go after your SDRs. This is your service treatment records. And your PTSD is often not in your STRs, and that's when the development takes place. We have to get that credible evidence. We have to get that substantiation for your claim before you send it over to the adjudicating officials to basically support your claim in the best interest of the veteran. If the diagnosis of PTSD is in your file, no special development may be needed, which is good. Now, here are the VA forms 210781 and 210881 alpha. This is your statement in support of your VA of your claim and service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder, and the same form secondary to personal assault. Now, regarding your stressor development, it might be required if the VA reviews your available records and it is inadequate to determine if the veteran has basically been in a location of hostile military or terrorist activity. They have determined on a case-by-case basis that additional development should be undertaken. And here's where you use those forms 0781 and 0781 alpha. they'll send that out to you for development and give you a specific amount of time, generally initially around 30 days, to get that form back to them. Now, you make sure you fill these forms out, but we'll go over that later when we specifically go over the form. Now, ways of development for the stressor. Primarily, they're always going to look at your service treatment records and your personnel records. And they're going to be looking for any combat events that have taken place in there. They're going to be definitely looking for the dates, the places, the general area, and your unit, down to the company level at times, or as much as possible that you can remember, and a description of the incident that actually happened. They will be looking at medals and citations and names of other information that can confirm your claim. Now, regarding combat medals, if your military records confirm receipt of a combat medal, the occurrence of an in-service stressor is generally conceded. At that point, you will not have to initiate development for a stressor. Alternative sources that may be used for evidence. Obviously, police reports. They will be looking at institutions for counseling or various other centers of crisis centers. And lay statements from family members or friends. Now let's go over those forms real quick. Here we have the 0781, Statement in Support of Claim for Service Connection for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. It's pretty self-explanatory. You'll list the stressful incidents or occurrences that occurred in service that you feel contributed to the current condition. For each incident, you will have to provide a description of what happened, the date, the geographical location, your unit assignment and dates assigned, and the full names and unit assignments of who you know that were injured or killed during this incident. Block 1, name. Block 2, your VA file number if one is established. 3 Alpha, date incident occurred. 3 Bravo, location of incident. We go on through 3 Charlie and through Echo with the unit assignment during that time, which will be your division, wing, got a battalion, cavalry, or the ship you were on, depending on your service. The dates that you were assigned to the unit, month, day, and year. Make sure you put those good dates down, meaning you gotta be within a month or 2 of the occurrence. Reason being, the VA has to develop for those records. And when they develop for those records, if it's off, it may throw the individual that the VAs are developing for off. So they might not locate records for that time period, and it just increases the time on your claim. We want to, as efficiently and effectively, process that claim in your behalf. 3 Echo will be the description of the incident that occurred. Proceed down. We're talking about medals and citations you received because of the incident. And then the information about service members who were killed or injured during the incident. Number 1, you got 4 Alpha, 4 Bravo, Charlie. You're going down to Echo, and then ends in 5 Echo. So basically what you have here is the name, rank, date of injuries, the units, and you check basically whether they were killed in action, battle, non-battle, or wounded in action, or non-battle. You would do that for stressor number 1 or stressor number 2, as you can see. Then you would sign date and leave any daytime or evening phone contact information down there. Now let's go over the next form. This is the 0781 Alpha, Statement in Support of Claim for Service Connection for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, secondary to personal assault. Now, same form, just about. You will list the stressful incidents or occurrences that happen that you feel that can contribute to your current condition. And for each incident, you will provide a description of what happened, the date, the geographical location, your unit assignment, and dates of assignment. Please thoroughly complete these forms. We wouldn't want to have to send these forms back to you and then just waste valuable time. We want to get your claim taken care of as soon as possible. So the same general situation, the dates, location, unit, the description of the incident. Now, a difference on this form than the previous form. You have other sources of information. Basically, military or non-military information that may provide information concerning your incident. Here, if you report the incident to military or civilian authorities or sought help for, like say for a rape crisis center, counseling facility, or health clinic, etc., then you would provide these names and addresses. Now, if you do provide any alternative sources that may have provided treatment for you and would like for those treatment records to be retrieved, the only way the VA will be able to do that if you complete a VA form 214142, which is an authorization and consent to release information to the Department of Affairs form. Thoroughly complete that out with your application, and then the VA will utilize that as a authorization to go and retrieve your forms on your behalf. And then you would have a section for stressful incident number 2, because some individuals that are applying for this have multiple instances. And if there are more than 2, then you would just get these appropriate sections of the same form and fill out that form and staple them together with your package. Now, this form has a section 7. This is where you will provide information that you feel important that may help your claim. And basically, instances where your behavioral changes have occurred that led to certain other situations. So visits to medical or counseling clinics, sudden request for change of occupational series or duty assignment. You want to leave that unit that you were in, but you have no apparent reason for why you want to do that. You're increasing your leave without an apparent reason. One of the bigger things and the reasons why they will go after your personnel records in addition to your service treatment records is because oftentimes there are changes in your performance and performance evaluations. You got episodes of depression, panic attacks, anxiety without identifiable causes. There were increases or decreases of use of prescription medication, over-the-counter medications, substance abuse, disregard for military or civilian authority when you previously had a stellar warrior on your hands, obsessive behavior, overeating, and many other things. What we've discussed. Well, before we discuss what we discussed, general follow-up procedures. Now, if the VA developed for you and sends the 0781 form or any other form that they would need you to fill out, and they don't receive those forms back within the statutory period, which is initially the initial 30 days that you get to send that form back. If you fail to respond to the initial stressor information, they'll provide you with another short time frame to get that information back to them. It's called a follow-up request. Or if you list a period that can't be confirmed by your report, then they'll go out to other sources who specialize in getting like combat situations, informational combat situations, because a lot of that stuff isn't disclosed. So they'll go out to those units, but you have to have substantial information that will be able to be used for those institutions to be able to retrieve your records. Now, regarding VA exam requests, combat situation, here is what we talked about. You have received combat declaration or verification of a stressor. For a fear-based, These general records will verify your service in an area of hostile military or terrorist activity. Regarding personal trauma, this is generally evidence of stressor or behavioral changes. And non-combat situations is information enough to concede your stressor, basically. Now, we've discussed and reviewed the 8 general steps of claim process. We've defined PTSD, identified the 3 types of PTSD. We briefly described the eligibility criteria and determined the development requirements. We did a brief overview or review of VA Form 0781 and 0781 Alpha, that statement in support of claim for service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder and personal trauma. And we identified basic information required for stressor development. We determined follow-up development procedures for verification of stressor, and basically talked about some of the considerations for when, VA will order exams for the veteran. I hope this information tutorial has been helpful. Until next time, tighten out.